Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program Islam Explained. I am Veysel Gençoğlu. Today we are continuing with our theology series with Ömer Ergi. Welcome back, Omar.
Thank you, Veysel. Here we are again.
Yeah. So today we'll be addressing questions like what is human nature and what is our purpose on earth? Are we just made up of organic matter or is there more to us than that? So we'll begin with the first question. What is human beings and what separates us from the rest of the creation?
Okay, good question. Well, it's important to note, Veysel, that first, compared to 8 million or so species on Earth, human beings are quite unique. In many ways, to be exact. This is evident even from the way that we come to this world. When we analyze the animal kingdom, we will see that from insects to birds, from fish to mammals, animals come to this world as if they were already prepared in another world. It's strange in many ways. Fully equipped, they are fully equipped, and most of the time ready to survive. They are all ready for this world. Some animals even stand up within minutes on their four legs, and some begin to fly very shortly. For example, birds start flying within couple of weeks' time. And some already know what to do, and as soon as they arrive to this world, they already know what to eat, what not to eat. Animals seem to be equipped, more prepared for this life. But, for example, I can give a few examples on that as well. As soon as sea turtles hatch, as they already know which way the ocean is, and they start heading towards the ocean. Other animals know what to eat exactly, and they know what to stay away from, what is poisonous, what is toxic. They shouldn't be touching that. Whereas human beings, it takes at least a year for us to stand up and walk. Perhaps around 2 years to speak as human beings. So we are totally dependent on our mothers and fathers. We are treated like kings and queens until we can take care of ourselves when we reach certain age. The major difference with the animals and us, we never stop learning unlike the animals that learn enough to survive. Animals learn enough to survive, but human learning continues until the grave. As a prophetic hadith says this, learning for a believer is from cradle to grave. And that's what happens with human beings. So we are unique, and natural sciences will also confirm this, that we are the guests of honors on this planet. As everything on earth seems to at least serve us. For example, we use the milk, the meat, the eggs, the wool, the silk, and other things produced by animals. We use the fruits, the leaves, even the roots of many different plants. Yet we give nothing back to nature. Do human beings give anything back to nature? In fact, according to one research, they say that if we were to remove all human beings from the planet Earth, the planet would improve in a sense of ecological balance, environmental. It will improve because we only damage the planet as human beings. Yeah. So it is ironic that some people actually think that nature gave us this special gift so that we can destroy nature itself. That it doesn't sound right, does it? I'm also trying to figure out how nature gives human beings things that it does not possess itself. That's very interesting. It's interesting too. Like, for example, that we have intellect. We have knowledge, we have ability to think, we have self-awareness, emotions like love, hatred, envy, compassion, and so on. There are many other qualities that human beings have. But we do not see these entities, these properties in nature. So if we are the product of nature, how could nature give us these entities, these properties that it never possessed in the first place itself? So where did we get these properties from? So I think it is important that to think about these sort of entities and to think about human nature, human fitra, human character, and it's important to think what is the origin of this? We know that we do not find these sort of things in atoms, in amino acids, in molecules, in proteins. We do not find these things. So where do we get these qualities from? So don't you think we need to think about these ways, sir?
I certainly think so, yeah. That's right. So it's obvious that we're different from the rest of the creation and unique in many ways. So what's the reason for this?
First of all, let me ask you this, Faisal. Did we have any choice in being a human?
No, not
We
at all.
didn't. No one is given this choice. In fact, we could have been created as a worm, as a snail, as a mouse, or any other creature. Or we may not have been created at all. Maybe we may not have been created at all. This means that we are all contingent beings, and therefore our existence is only a probability. We could have existed or we could not have existed, which means our existence is 50-50 chance. That's what it is. If I did not exist, would it make any difference to the universe? No. So our existence is only a probability. And this is a fact with the entire universe as well. Like, for example, everything in the universe is contingent. Everything is only a probability. They can exist or not exist. Then there needs to be a being whose existence is not a probability but a necessity. Namely, we call this being God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because his existence is a necessity, because everything else is only contingent, depend on external things to exist. So, in this regard, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God is wajibil wujud in Islamic sense. In Islamic theology, wajibil wujud means necessary existence. He decided that we would be human beings, and he blessed us with something unique. The Quran says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. So he has created us in the best of patterns. The Quran clearly mentioned this as well. This means that we are not just a heap of matter. We are not made up of just heap of matter. We are not just carbon atoms, amino acids, polymers, proteins, living cells. These things are not enough to explain a human being. There is more to us. We have a metaphysical side as well. We have a soul, a spirit.
This is actually getting quite interesting now. So what is a soul? Can we describe it, and what is it made up of?
Yeah, it is a hard question. It's a difficult
That's
question.
why, maybe if you could explain that part as well.
People ask this all the time, and it is a confusing thing. Actually, this question was also asked to Prophet Muhammad. May Allah be pleased with him, peace and blessings be upon him. The Quran mentions this. In the Quran, there's a verse, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. O Muhammad, they ask you about the soul. And the Quran answers it. Quran provides the answer to Prophet Muhammad as well, alayhi salatu wasalam. The Quran says, كُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّ. So tell them that it is a command from your Lord. So we were not really given too much information about the soul, really, Waisir. Not too much.
Okay.
Yeah. The ruh, we call it ruh as well in Islamic terminology. However, it is evident that in life, physical matter is always under the control of metaphysics in life. Matter is controlled by meaning. This is very interesting. Even with human beings, for example, the brain is under the control of meaning. What that means is this. For example, when we start thinking about doing something, the thoughts are non-matter. They are not physical things. You cannot explain them with laboratory testing. You cannot explain them that way because they are not physical matter. But the decision is made by the thoughts, the human thoughts. And then the neuron cells in the human brain begin to fire. For example, there is a metaphysical entity that makes the decision on an action. The neuron membrane then opens. It lets positively charged ions to enter in and then releases the negatively charged ions. Then this produces an electrical impulse which is carried to the nerves, and then an action occurs. But if you look at the procedure, it begins with non-matter,
True.
non-physical thing, non-material thing. So matter is under the command of metaphysics all the time. The soul is an interesting thing, really. There is plausible arguments for its existence as well. Like one of the arguments that I usually use is dreams. Human beings dream all the time. In fact, according to our research, we need to dream. People who do not dream could have psychological issues. But according to research, everyone dreams, but not all of us remember what we saw in our dream. So dream, in a way, is a necessity for the human body. How dream occurs? During the dream, there's a period called REM period, rapid eye movement period. It's very short, and we dream during that period. And during our dreams, sometimes we go to places we have never seen. Sometimes we meet people we have never seen. Sometimes even we see creatures that does not even exist on Earth. Now, usually brain would produce something that has been already fed into it. If it has it in its memory, it can produce. But when you dream, you see amazing things. Sometimes you see things out of this world as well. So this is, in a way, an indication that the spirit is traveling somewhere, visiting other places, and gathering information from other places, from the realm of metaphysics, beyond this physical world as well. Another very interesting thing that I use all the time as an analogy, as you said it yourself too, analogies are very helpful.
It helps a lot.
Yeah, this type of things, yeah. Human feeling of ownership. I use this example a lot with the soul, evidence for soul anyway. As you know, as human beings, we have this emotion or feeling of ownership. We tend to own things. For example, I say, this is my jacket. These are my glasses, for example, you know. This is my hair, even with my own body. This is my nose. This is my eye, for example. These are my ears. You know, we use it all the time.
That's right.
Now, when it comes to our internal organs, we do the exact same thing, don't we?
That's right.
My heart, my liver, my stomach, like you say, you know. We use the same terminology. Mind, mind, mind. There's an ownership there.
That's right.
Now, if according to the materialistic view, disbelief view, you know, views, perspectives only based on, you know, physical matter, people do not go into spiritualism and, you know, belief in God and things like that. Their argument is that human identity is the brain. But strangely, when it comes to the brain, we use the same terminology of ownership. We say, my brain. Now, the entire body is yours. You say my body, my internal organs, and then my brain as well. Then who is making this claim? Who are you? If you're saying this is my brain, who are you? Strange. You must be some other entity saying that this body belongs to me, including the brain as well, including this biological computer that you use, that belongs to me as well. So that's a very interesting analogy that I found as well. But allow me to give you one more allegory. As we said before, it helps people to understand certain concepts of philosophy much easier.
Please do.
Yeah. Now, imagine, these are basic analogies. Imagine that you're sitting in a room that has two windows in front of you. And from these two windows of your room, you're looking out, and you can see trees, cars, you know, many things out there. Flowers, dogs, cats, people walking around. Now, if I were to put to you, is it the windows that are making this observation, or is it you looking through the windows outside?
It'd be you looking through the windows.
It'd be you, isn't it? You're just using those two windows as a tool to look
observe
through.
out.
Yeah, to observe out. Now, human body is the same thing. These two windows we have on our head, they are the windows for the soul.
Wow.
In reality, the soul is looking through those windows and observing the physical world. And in a way, we can prove this too, you know, in an ironic way.
Please do.
Now, we should say that our viewers should not try this at home, but if you were to walk up to someone when they're sleeping and open their eyelids without waking them up, their eye would be still looking around, but they will be seeing nothing. Now, see, the biological equipment is still working. The cameras are still working. The windows are still working. But there's nobody home. Nobody is watching through them.
So the soul technically is not there.
Is not there. Or it is there, but it's busy with something else. It's stretched out to a different realm. It's busy with something else. So it's not using that tool. So the tool is working. The brain is working too. But the soul is busy with something else. It is your true identity. The soul is your true identity. I remember during one lecture that I did some years ago, there was a lot of people sitting, and I scared some of them as well. And I said, have you ever stood in front of the mirror and looked yourself deeply in the eyes, and how long did you hold it for? Keep on staring yourself in the eye. You cannot hold on very long.
I've tried that.
I've tried it once too. And you know what happens after a time? You start thinking, who is this guy in the mirror? You know?
Looks like someone else is looking back at
you.
you.
It's like your soul, your true identity is looking at your, outer shell, the outer body. And as you know, according to Islamic belief, when the time comes, as you know, the soul will be removed from this equipment, this outer shell. We will get rid of it. It'll be buried under the ground. It'll decompose away, but our true identity will exist forever, for infinity, for eternity. This is what the Quran says anyway. So, really, going back to the question, yes, I said, we do have a soul. This is what Islam says. This is what Quran says anyway. We were given an additional equipment that is much more advanced than other creatures as well. All the other rest of the creatures on earth. But with all of these blessings and additional gifts given to human beings, such as intellect, self-awareness, ability to think, and all the emotions, comes bigger responsibility as well. All animals on earth, if you analyze them, you will see that they all serve a bigger purpose other than themselves. They produce things more than their requirement. For example, chickens give eggs every day, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah, bees produce honey more than what is required for them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the trees, although maybe we cannot explain this scientifically, but when you think about it, all the branches of the tree, like hands stretching out, producing fruits, as if they are saying, here, these are all for you, to human beings, and we can grab any fruit, use them as vitamin, as nutrition, as food for ourselves, but you will never see a tree, for example, eating its own fruit.
That's
and
right.
Isn't it? And it's the result of that tree. The fruit is the main result, that to produce that miraculous thing. And all of the world's fruits and things like that, on the apparent, you can see that they are really for the guests, the honor of this world. It's human beings.
Which is for us, yeah.
They're all being produced for us. And these animal kingdom and the plants themselves, they also serve a purpose on earth to sustain the ecological balance on earth. They contribute to the ecosystem and they produce what is good for nature. As I said before, if we were to remove an animal species from earth, the ecological balance will be harmed. But if you were to remove humanity on earth, no harm will come in.
It'll only improve.
It'll only improve. It'll only benefit the nature. That's all. So this means that if we do not serve a purpose for this nature as human beings, and we are so advanced than all the other creatures, then we must be here to serve a much higher purpose.
That's right.
And the Quran clearly states this by saying that وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have created the jinn and the human beings so that they may worship me. So the purpose of our creation is to recognize God and to serve Him and worship Him.
Yes. Thank you very much for answering our questions in such a way, with analogies again, and for your time as well. In our next program, we'll be addressing another mysterious topic that I'm sure that many of you will be interested in. And the question will be, what happens to us when we die? Where do our souls go? and what will happen to us in the hereafter. Thank you for joining us on the program Islam Explained, and thank you again. See you later.